It is almost start of autumn, means a lot of different shades of reds, browns, and those earthy tones that we can see in the nature. So, of course, I had to make all the paintings which are resonating with the seasonal change. So, in this video, I want to create or curate a palette with all the shades that I feel resonate with my paintings and the autumn colors. So let's go ahead, see what all I pick and how it works out in my other paintings as well. So for the custom palette, I'm using a palette from Cairo. So this is having 9 wells, so I can have 9 colors within this, and there is also a mixing well where I can mix during the paintings and use it with different colors. So let's see what all shades I pick, and also thanks to my followers who have helped me pick some of these colors on Instagram. And in order to see what all paintings I create with this, you can always visit my page Tinted Tutorials on Instagram and see all the works there. So let's go. Hello, so today I will be swatching out and preparing a autumn palette for my watercolor paintings, and this is a new watercolor palette from Cairo, and this is having 9 wells as you can see, and a one big palette for mixing up all the colors. I'm very much excited to fill all the colors up here, so let's decide on all the colors. Here I have some paints from different brands. This is from Mission Gold, and this has some of the paints from Curate, Senilio, White Knights, as well as Schmicke. So let's take all the colors. Of course, autumn means we definitely feel like burnt sienna a lot, and I love the pigment that Mission Gold has for burnt sienna. This is one of the must-have colors. This is one of the must-have colors for sure in the autumn palette. And next up is I need basically primary shades, all 3 colors. So this can be my red shade for the palette, and I need one yellow. So for yellow, I'm going to go with Yellow Orc, again from Mission Gold as well, and that is it. For blue, I think I'm gonna go with a QOR Ultramarine, because if I want to paint the sky or even mix this with other colors to get a very nice pigment. So QOR is very much pigmented blue, so I definitely want to have it in my palette. Next step is, even though I can mix these two and get a green, I do need a green which can help me with my palette. So that would be either greenish umber or a sap green. So let me keep both of these, and while swatching out, I'll decide on which color to go with. Next, I'm also having a darker shade of blue, that is Indifferent Blue from Selenio. This also I'm going to keep here, and of course I need a brown. Yes, the sepia from White Knights is the best for it. In fact, I can mix burnt sienna and ultramarine to get a very good shade of brown, but this is very much thin pigmented, and I just love the shade sepia. So having it in my palette would definitely make sense. And last but not the least is a granulating pigment from Schmicke. This is Tundra Violet, and this shade I can mix with other colors also here, so that I can get different shades for granulation as well. So definitely I'm going to have one granulating pigment, that is Tundra Violet. So now that I have all these colors, let me try to swatch these out and decide on the final set of colors for the palette. Starting with 3 primary colors for sure. So I'm going to take some Yellow Orc into the palette. then some burnt sienna, and ultramarine. Now let's swatch out these colors. So this is yellow ochre, burnt sienna, and ultramarine. So now from these three, what all different colors can I get? Let's try to swatch that out. So here I'm mixing some ochre to burnt sienna to get a very nice earthy shade. Okay, next up, to the same color, let me add some blue. And this would be a very nice olive green or a dark olive green shade that I am getting here, which is a great color. So next up, let me take some burnt sienna and little bit of ultramarine. So this gives us different shades of browns that are required for the autumn palette. Okay, and if I mix little bit of ochre to it, I think we get back the same color. So let me add some more of all of this. Yeah, so it's a lighter shade of brown that we can get here. And next up is taking blue, the ultramarine blue and yellow. So I'm getting a good green here. I want to have these toned down versions of the pigments only in the palette and not any bright colors, because I want this burnt sienna to be the main pigment in my colors, in my paintings, that I would say. So this toned down version of green looks good to me. So for this, let me try to mix some burnt sienna and see what color I get. Another shade. I think with the variations of different, the amount of paint I'm taking also does matter. So these three colors are good to have in my palette. So let me fill them up a bit more, because I'm going to use all these colors extensively for all the autumn paintings. So I'm just going to add it a bit more. Okay. Blue, I'm going to keep it as it is. So let's try if I want any other blue or green in my palette. So this is a sap green which I had taken or considered before. But before that, it is possible to get the darkest shade of brown for similar to sepia. If I take lot of blue and lot of burnt sienna, with the mix match of these colors, I should be able to get the darkest shade, and still this is the darkest I am able to get, right? So even for further dark, you can see there is no black paint in my palette, and the darkest shade I can use is sepia, so I'll definitely have that in the palette. So this is where it would go. This is one of the must and best colors, I would say, for anyone to have in their palette. You can mix with all of this to get different shades, definitely now. Okay, now another shade that I would have is cadmium yellow medium. So this is another shade for lighter shades of yellow, so that it can have a tint of brightness. So if I try it out, this is how that is. So let me see if it is gelling well with my palette. Maybe if I mix with some other shades, maybe then. For now, I do not think I want this shade, so let me keep it aside again. Same with green. Let me try out green if I like it to be part of the palette. Mix it with some of the other color also to see what and how I'm getting. So I do get this shade which I like, which is mostly similar to this, and this green is too bright for the palette. I do not feel like it is gelling well. So let me keep it aside. Next up is greenish umber. This is from Selenier. So let me try it out. It goes really well with the sepia I have here, as well as none of the combinations were giving me a nearby to this color. So I'm planning to have it in my palette. Before that, let me also swatch out the Indus blue. So this is again a darker shade of blue from Selenier that we can get. And if I mix this with all these colors here, do I get this greenish umber? It is possible to get greenish umber with this. So and also this blue is actually not very different. So let me try to add some other shades and decide which one to keep. So I get darker shades of green here. Okay, I'm still confused which one of these two to carry, but this blue being very common, I want to still go ahead with greenish umber, but let me still park it to the end. But the next color definitely is the Tundra Violet, which is a granulating pigment. So having this in the palette definitely makes sense if you want to add any dried barks or even any kind of granulation for any other shades, you can easily do it. So this is that shade, which I'm planning to mix it with many other shades to get a very good color. So let me squeeze that out here. It's so easy to remove the paints as well from this palette. Easy to clean, easy to maintain. That's what I like about these palettes. So now that I have my granulating pigment, I still have so many places to fill. So why don't I go ahead and take both of these shades in. And also it is autumn, so there will be different shades of reds and oranges coming in. So if I want to add another shade of, say, red, we can go with red brown, but that will again become very much similar to burnt sienna. So I do like a minimal palette which helps me explore and also try different shades of color mixing, improve my knowledge about color theory. But again, I do not want to be mixing every time and losing a particular shade that I wanted to achieve. So with that, I can still go ahead with this green, greenish umber for sure, from Selenia. Let me just mix everything once. So this is going into the palette, and I'm going to keep the Indothrane blue out. Now any other shade that I can add, one can be empty here for white gouache that I use for the detailing in the end. So I have two more spots available. One is to either go with a Persian blue or an indigo so that we can get the darker shades of black also when required. I can mix indigo with burnt sienna to get a very dark shade. So that also can be used. So let me try to get the indigo. I'm going to go ahead with indigo. Okay. And now definitely I feel like I do need a shade of orange in it. So I'm going to take cadmium red light. While swatching out, it's always better to take out paint from the cap here which is there. It accumulates, it gets dried up, and it is difficult to close the cap. So while swatching out, I tend to take it out from here and swatch so that I don't lose out on much. This is a bright shade, contrary to what I was looking with respect to yellow and other colors, right? But since I want the shades of sienna to be popping up in my paintings, I think this will complement really well. So I'm going to take it here. This is one of the beautiful shades that I have from White Nights. Definitely a must-have in the palette. I can mix this with a couple of other colors and get good different shades going on. So let me also mix this with this granulating pigment to see what happens. Okay, so these colors are all, they have come out well, not so bad. I do like all these colors. So the rejected ones here are, this and this. These are not taken. Even these are not taken. So all other colors are there, which I have considered. So now I'll cut out a small paper, swatch this out and keep it with this palette always so that I can come back and when I open I can see what are all the. So this is what we have curated with all the other colors into my custom palette for autumn. You can see all these shades within his, and this is the palette which I'll be using for mixing different colors during the painting. It goes along very well. I can just close it, and it is easily, I can take it anywhere or just continue to use it in my studio. So this is what it is. In order to see all the works that I'll be doing with this particular palette and all these color shades that I currently have, you can follow me on Tinted Doodles and you can see all my works there. Thank you.